I believe Graham's out of hospital.
Yes, until next time. You know what we were talking about? It's been exactly a month since the last incident.
Yes, too much of a coincidence. Well, Joyce arranged yesterday for Dr. Weissman to call, so he'll be here this morning.
I'll leave it in his hands then.
I've put some visitors' passes on your desk to sign.
Right, I'll take care of them. You wait here, Pippa. Terry will look after you.
See you later. There's an officer coming down. She'll take you out into the grounds.
Thanks a lot.
Joyce.
What?
You said that Nora Flynn would be in my cooking class. I was counting on it. But she's not on the list. Look.
Oh, dear. She must have changed her mind. It's too late to get her onto this morning's roster. Perhaps I could get her into the kitchen this afternoon.
It's all getting so complicated. I don't want you risking your job as well.
It's just a risk I have to take. I know you'd do the same for me if it was the other way around.
You don't know what that means to me, Joyce, but I still think I should see the governor and finish the whole thing.
No, Mervyn, you can't. You can't let a little troublemaker like Patterson ruin your whole life. I won't let you.
And when I realised he was behaving more like Aunt Harriet's solicitor than mine, I fired him. Really? What did he say? He carried on a bit, but as far as I was concerned, that was that. God, Anne was right. What's she got to do with it? Oh, nothing. She just said you changed. You mean I'm not behaving like a spineless wonder anymore? It's all right. I know that's what everyone thought. Well, I have to admit, I never thought of you sacking solicitors without batting an eyelid. There's one thing you find out fast in a place like this, Pippa. That no one's going to look after you except yourself. But you're not alone. I mean, there's Anne for a start. Really? What's that supposed to mean? Let's just say I don't think she's the friend you think she is. How can you say that? She's very concerned about you. Could have fooled me. I know she's your mother, Pippa, but let me tell you. Look, it's all right for you out there gallivanting around the world. I've never had that. I was a prisoner before they put me in here. You said so yourself. Look, Jen, I know you've had a pretty rough time. You soon find out who your friends are in a place like this. It doesn't take me long to count mine. Well, I think you underestimate Anne. And me, for that matter. I mean, she's been put in a pretty difficult position. Just don't expect me to feel sorry for her. Anyway, my new solicitor's asked to see me this morning. At least he believes in me. I just hope my so-called friends are still around when I prove I'm innocent.
She'll be here in a minute.
Ah, good. You know, I can understand those other reports now. Mind you, you're not excusing them. You'd have to be observing the case for some time to pick the pattern.
You're pretty sure now?
Well, all of the troubles manifested themselves just a few days prior to a period. You know, the crimes, the attempted suicide, and this latest injury. Every one.
Yes, too much for coincidence.
I think so.
Come in. Thanks, Pat.
It was an accident, Mrs. Reynolds. I didn't want to be in any trouble. I didn't mean to do it. I want you to get no way. You're not going to send me to the nut house, are you? Please,
Now,
I don't want to
come
go
on,
to
Daphne.
the nut.
Daphne, sit down. Nothing like it's going to happen.
Everything's going to be all right. We just want to help you.
It's not what you're thinking at all. It's quite the reverse, in fact. We think you're suffering from hormonal imbalance. We talked about this before, remember? The human body operates on a very fine chemical balance, and
It's not necessary to know all the details at the moment, Daphne. The important thing is that this could be a defense against your convictions.
it could mean you're getting out of prison for good.
I'll try and explain as simply as possible.
Well, Mrs. Reynolds said it was this PMS thing and how it does something to me. Like, it makes all my hormones go funny.
Slow down, Daphne. You're leaving us all behind.
Left a brain behind, if you ask me.
Now, don't take any notice of her, love. We understand what you mean, don't we, Willie?
Interrupt. Well, see, the thing is that when I get depressed, these chemicals, well, I think they sort of make my brain go funny and I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, geez, these creeps sprout a lot of rubbish, don't they?
Shut up, Lexi.
I'm allowed to have an opinion. Not if you're going to be negative.
Oh, just ignore her and she'll be quiet.
So what's going to happen now?
Well, Mrs. Reynolds said I was going to get out of Wentworth because I wasn't responsible for my actions or something.
Are you sure? Reynolds actually said that they were going to use it as a defence?
Yeah, I think so. She said a whole lot of other stuff too, but I didn't understand that.
Using some of them big three-letter words, was she, Daffy?
You see what this means?
Yes. Are you sure it'd stand up in court?
Well, they've used it as a defence in England and America. As far as I know, no one's ever used it here.
Well, if it works in England, it's got to work here.
This could make you famous, Daphne. You could be the Australian test case for PMS.
Old George was more than happy to talk to me, actually. You were right, he had quite a story to tell.
Do you think it'll help?
No, it's a bit too early to tell you. All right, let's look at the facts. He did say that there were some marks in the gravel underneath your grandmother's window. According to George, these marks could have been caused by a ladder or something similar being placed up against the wall.
But that's what Mrs. Goddard said.
Yeah, unfortunately, when he went back after your grandmother's death, the marks had all been smoothed over.
Oh, but he found the cigarette butts too. I mean, surely that proves the murderer did climb up to his...
It's not quite as simple as that, I'm afraid. You see, George is a gardener. He's not a forensic expert. Oh, he'll say all that in the statement, of course. But you see, even if we could show that there was somebody else in your grandmother's room the night she died, apart from yourself, it still wouldn't prove that you didn't commit the crime. Especially considering the circumstances in which you were discovered. Come on, don't lose heart. It's another card up our sleeve. May not be a trump card, but at least it's something. The next job is to investigate the activities of Aunt Harriet and ours. You know, I would say they showed some indecent haste in getting rid of old George, wouldn't you?
I'm sure they're the...
Yeah, I know what you're sure of, Miss Hartley, and I agree with you. And what's more, I'm going to prove it.
You really sure you can handle work today? We can leave it till tomorrow if you don't think you can manage.
No, I'll be all right, thanks, Mrs. Reynolds. In fact,
Yes, go on.
Well, it sounds really awful, but I feel so much better now it's over. Look, Mum was in a lot of pain and they let me see her, and she looked, I don't know, peaceful. There was no more pain. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Only trouble was I could see everyone looking at me and Miss Radcliffe, and I knew what they were thinking. But Mum would have wanted me there. I know she would have.
Julie, you're the only one she wanted there. Couldn't you feel that?
Well, what am I going to be doing, Mrs. Reynolds?
Well, now, you'll be in reception mostly, but there are a few things here in my office, and if you can do them, it would help me a lot. I'll show you what I mean. I thought for starters, laundry accounts. God, what a mess. Hope you're good at filing systems.
So they're all making a horrible mess of my name, the Reynolds bit, and laughing like mad. And this guy who turned out to be Kenzai's boss was cackling away, so I looked at him straight in the eye and I said, what a little butler. Oh. Yep, you do okay in the cutie steaks, love. If I wasn't so tied up with Kenzie, I might do a line with you.
You didn't?
I mean, none of them could understand a word. They just kept laughing about my name.
No.
Except I fell flat in my face, didn't I? And when I was leaving, he ups and says, I hope you have a bonzo time in Japan, Miss Reynolds.
Good one. Great, isn't it?
Pippa, this is Joan Ferguson. Pippa Reynolds, Joan. Pippa's just been telling me the funniest story.
Hello, John. I've heard a lot about you from Anne.
Must have made for a very interesting conversation.
Pippa might be doing an art class for the women. Should be good. She's done a lot of design work. Actually, I've always wanted to know how to do screen printing. Do you think I could come?
Oh, I don't see why not.
Don't you think it'd be good, Joan?
For something a bit more useful myself.
Anne must be through by now. Okay if I find my own way?
Must be nice to have relatives in high places. Some of us have to earn our appointments.
From what I hear, Miss Ferguson, a lot of people are looking forward to the day when you get what you've earned. And just for your information, my qualifications speak for themselves. I certainly don't need my mother's influence to get me jobs. Especially unpaid ones.
Well, I've got to say you asked for that.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. I mean, some little hormone goes mad and all of a sudden you're not